New text messages reveal that even more high-ranking Republicans than we initially knew were involved in Donald Trump's attempt to overturn the election, including his son, Don Jr. Also, Trump is still ranting about windmills, and conservatives are talking about tanning their testicles. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. With all of the major crises we currently face, war in Ukraine, COVID cases rising again, impending climate disaster, and a widening wealth gap with power concentrated in fewer and fewer corporate hands, you'd think Republicans would have moved on from their usual weird obsessions. But last week, Donald Trump did an interview on Fox News, and you'll never guess what he wanted to talk about.
Today, I saw a big story that there very millions and millions of dollars are being charged on windmills because they're killing eagles. They're killing the bald eagle and other eagles and other birds. And we have these windmills all over the place, and the environmentalists pretend they love them, but they're really hurting our country.
It's funny how certain people want me to stop talking about Donald Trump, but Donald Trump won't stop talking about windmills. And in my defense, Donald Trump was president, and windmills are just windmills. It's also very unconvincing that he cares for the well-being of bird life, especially when he pronounces eagle like that, with the emphasis on the first letter. Does he think it's like email? Sean, the other day I saw an eagle logging into his email, smoking an e-cigarette, and I'll tell you, it's destroying our country. Now, of course, it is unfair to just play a clip of Trump from an interview without also playing the question that prompted it. I'm sure his windmills are Freddy Krueger, but for birds answer makes more sense in context. Let's give it a listen.
Most economists now say this is going to turn into a full-blown recession and maybe worse. What do you see if he doesn't change course?
So, of course, it had nothing to do with windmills. What was I expecting? What possible question could have justified that answer? Sir, I'd like to get your thoughts on our treasured avian population and various threats to their survival, including new forms of energy dependent on wind. If possible, start with a big story you saw today, and should you mention eagles, do feel free to pronounce it weird.
Today, I saw a big story that there very millions and millions of dollars are being charged on windmills because they're killing eagles.
And you want Trump to comment on Biden changing course? Trump has never changed course in his life. That's why he's obsessed with windmills. He just goes around in circles and makes a giant sucking sound. But say what you will about the guy, he's always laser focused on his grudges, whether it's windmills or the Democrats investigating him. Yesterday, Trump, devout Christian that he is, issued an Easter message that said in part, Happy Easter to all, including the radical left maniacs who are doing everything possible to destroy our country. May they not succeed, but let them nevertheless be happy, healthy, wealthy, and well. Now, in fairness, he is quoting the Bible there. Who can forget when Jesus said unto his disciples, Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth, except, of course, for the meek birds whose heads I'm taking off with a windmill blade. Also, just a side note here, but Radical Left Maniacs is a great band name. I'm pretty sure I saw them at the Warped Tour in 1995. They were kind of like the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, or at least that's the impression that I got. And that was today's joke for ska fans. We just have to, I'm just saying, when we do it, just let's try to invite ska fans that day. You know what I mean? Let's send, when the email goes out for tickets, if it's going to be ska joke day, let's just try to pack the house a little. Because I'm out here, risking it. And I'm getting nothing back. And look, I look forward to ska day as much as anybody. But if we're not going to do any, audience maintenance on ska day, and yet still, none of that was the pettiest or weirdest thing to happen in right-wing politics this week, because it was all outdone when Fox News host Tucker Carlson previewed a new episode for Fox's streaming service where he expressed concern that, among other things, testosterone levels among men were declining, and interviewed a guest who proposed an interesting solution.
If you want to optimize and take it to another level, expose yourself to red light therapy.
Yes.
And the Juve that we were using in the documentary, there's a massive amount
Which
of
is testicle tanning.
It's testicle tanning, but it's also full body red light therapy, which has massive amount of benefits. And there's so much data out there that isn't being picked up on or covered.
So obviously half the viewers right now are like, what? That's testicle tanning? That's crazy. But my view is, okay, testosterone levels crash and nobody says anything about it. That's crazy. So why is it crazy to seek solutions?
It's not. And clearly, Donald Trump has already tried it. I also like that Tucker says half of his viewers will think testicle tanning is crazy. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you're tuning in to watch a Tucker Carlson special on Fox's streaming service titled The End of Men, you might be down to clown with just about anything. I would venture half his audience was saying, I have to try that, and the other half was saying, testicle tanning, tell me something I don't know. I expose my nuts to red light therapy every day. Sometimes I just drop them straight into the toaster and let them warm up for a few seconds. If you really want to be an alpha man, you just got to stick your entire junk in the microwave and put it on popcorn mode. That's just when you're advanced. It's so insane, even Kid Rock, who for some reason was a guest on this special, or whatever it was, couldn't wrap his head around it.
Dude, stop. Testicle tanning. Come on. I mean,
yeah.
I haven't heard anything that good in a long time.
Open your mind, Bobby. Don't you think at this point, when so many of the therapies, the paths they've told us to take have turned out to be dead ends that have really hurt people, why wouldn't open-minded people seek new solutions?
I don't know what the hell is going on in this world. I'm not even sure if I understood that question.
When you've lost Kid Rock, the best part is they laugh about it like it's a joke, but then Tucker doubles down and says, no, seriously, why not consider it? Hell, why stop at red light therapy? Maybe in addition to light, your testicles need air, which we could generate using
windmills.
And also, even if there was some sort of massive global testosterone crisis, is it already time to resort to tanning your balls? Nothing is crazier than a conservative's second idea. I don't trust vaccines, but I'll eat some horse paste. Are there ever solutions somewhere between plan A and the craziest you've ever heard? It's like if someone said there's a bird in the house and you said open a window and they said that didn't work. So then you immediately jump to, okay, in that case, dress like a bird and slowly perform a romantic courtship with the bird in your home. When you win its trust, invite them to a romantic evening outside in the moonlight, and then when they least expect it, boom, windmill, chop off with their head. The point is, these are the people leading the conservative movement in the Republican Party at a time when it is poised to retake power in the November midterms and possibly renominate Trump for president in 2024, even as we continue to learn more about his efforts to overturn the last election. For example, newly unearthed text messages reveal that yet another sitting senator, Utah's Mike Lee, was coordinating with the White House on ways to overturn the results, including pitching a plan to appoint alternate slates of electors from swing states. At one point in November 2020, he texted Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, please give me something to work with. I just need to know what I should be saying. And then 2 days later said again, please tell me what I should be saying. I'm not sure it's a good idea to go to Trump begging to know what you should be saying. Trump would make a terrible Cyrano de Bergerac. Cyrano, tell me what to say to her. Tell her she's got a butt that won't quit and honkers to match. And Lee wasn't the only one in on it. There are also new secret text messages from Trump's son, Don Jr.
November 5th, 2020, 2 days after the 2020 election. Votes were still being counted. The final outcome still in doubt. But President Trump's son, Don Jr., was already passing on ideas for overturning the election if necessary to ensure a second term for his father. It's very simple, Trump Jr. texted before outlining several options. We have operational control. Total leverage. Trump Jr. was texting White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows.
I love when dummies like Don Jr. use phrases like total leverage and operational control. He sounds like the bad guy in a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie called Total Leverage, who gets thrown off a helicopter in the first 5 minutes. We have operational control. Hold on, someone's tapping me on the shoulder. Let me just turn around and, oh no, Jean-Claude! And he had to text the chief of staff instead of going straight to his own dad. We are in operational control. Now, do you have my father's email address? I would like to set up a father-son testicle tanning appointment. This is the state of the modern conservative movement as they aim to retake power. They're focused on windmills, testosterone levels, overturning elections. Just a word of advice. I'd be careful not to do too much testicle tanning, or you're gonna end up with a nutsack that looks like a
Bald eagle.
This has been a closer look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, get vaccinated. We love you.